One of the greatest actors that had ever lived and well known around the world, starring in movies that made him into an icon and always remembered for his roles and even his activism. He was an actor, activist, and he even worked in Hollywood for over 40 years, playing Napoleon Bonaparte, Stan Kowalski, Zapata, Don Vito Corleone, and even the father of Superman, Jor-El. This is the legendary and talented Marlon Brando, and this is his basic biography. Early life: Marlon Brando was born on the 3rd of April 1924 in Nebraska, USA. His family was working class, with his father working in a chemical manufacturer and his mother being an administrator. He was one of the youngest out of the three children and would always be the only son of both his parents. His parents would break up in the 1930s, which meant his mother would have to raise him and his two sisters on her own. And this is due to his father being an alcoholic, which he had actually reformed to see them on occasions and also support his mother when needed. He attended many schools and would be able to not be able to graduate due to having difficulties learning, as well as finding it hard to fit in the academic learning. After being kicked out of school, his parents would send him to a military academy where he would be finishing his studies and excelling in his education, working in odd jobs at the same time to make money for his future career as well as education. He saw his sisters going into acting and would like to be an actor himself one day. Due to their success, he would also take up acting classes and have a chance to change himself to land Hollywood roles and even big roles as an actor on stage. Acting career: from working in odd jobs and spending time in the military, Marlon Brando was inspired by one of his sisters being an established actress. He was able to work his way out of these odd jobs that he was working in previously, that only gave him some opportunity. He left for New York to establish himself as a stage actor with other actors by studying music and theatre in order to be a big actor. He even was learning some acting styles off his sister in order to become a well-known stage actor on Broadway. He would adapt himself to be an actor by learning different styles of acting by looking at leading actors on stage, even playing as a bad boy or to a villains before they were heroes, which most audience would like to see on stage. Whilst in New York, Marlon Brando had his first stage performance or stage appearance, and which he had to compose himself in order to be a method actor, one of the first that anyone had seen on stage. The 1930s had seen this up-and-coming actor, studying as a student to become a full-known actor, but in the 1940s he would debut in his first play. This was called I Remember Mama in 1944. He would continue his success well on to the 1950s, where he was able to play characters from stage onto the big screen, once making a television appearance in the late 1940s, where he would make himself known as a supporting actor or an extra on stage. On the television production. The following decade of the 1950s would see the young Marlon Brando becoming one of the best actors of all time, with his method acting being one of the new and even hip styles of acting in Hollywood. Hollywood found their young man lead, and in the 1950s, where dramas were linked to teens and young adults, this would be profitable for the movie making industry. This meant turning this young lad into a bad boy or a rebel onto the big screen. He would be provided contracts and even has been nominated for various performances during the 1950s, and luckily won some performances. Stage actor to legend of Hollywood. He had one of the first performances or appearances based on a play that now has become a movie where he was the lead. This play was called A Streetcar Named Desire in 1951, starring alongside Vivien Leigh, who also was a well-known actress that starred in films such as Gone with the Wind. After being successful in the movie A Streetcar Named Desire, Marlon Brando had been provided more movies to play as a young and even more method acting character throughout the 1950s and even into the 1960s. He would be nominated and win the Academy Awards in the first part of his acting career, even spending time with playing characters from real life and sometimes rebels on the big screen, which most of the audiences loved to see him again and again. His next role would change from being an aggressive young adult to a revolutionary in the movie Viva Zapata in 1952, alongside legendary actor Anthony Quinn, and then starring in The Wild One in 1953. He would be on top of the world with his acting credits being larger than life, and as each year was going by, Hollywood was churning more movies with him being the lead. Later on, he would star in more movies in the 1960s, with a remake of Mutiny of the Bounty released in 1962, with himself being a supporting actor. Once this movie was added to his success, Marlon Brando's career was only going up in the rest of the 1960s. He would become more experienced and more of an elite actor in the Hollywood circle, taking new roles that would make him a lead actor in the forefront of the cinematic industry, even having time to promote or act on television. The 1970s would have Marlon Brando playing an older character and even more iconic role. He was playing the great Don Corleone in the 1972 movie The Godfather with the first-time director Francis Ford Coppola. He refused the Academy Award for this particular performance and managed to grow older as an acting lead later on. This meant he would be given a role as Superman's father, Jor-El, in the 1978 film Superman, starring alongside Christopher Reeves. Personal life and final years. Marlon Brando was married at least 3 times. First wife was Anna Kashfi from 1957 to 1959. Second wife was Movita Castaneda from 1960 to 1962. And his final wife was Tarita Teripaia from 1962 to 1972. He would have relationships with his partners, and even after his marriage, but then he would only have at least 11 children, as some sources suggest. He won many awards, from the Academy Awards to Golden Globes, for his acting career and even work with inside Hollywood. Apart from being a great actor, he was a great activist as well outside of Hollywood, and would work with various societies and even be part of the 1963 civil rights movement. And he supported most African Americans and even American communities with other actors at the time, and even his having friendships with the following actors: Charlton Heston, Sidney Poitier, and even Harry Belafonte, which he had a chance to share his political views with them, his fellow actors. He was able to class himself as a Democrat, and have political views as a Democrat, supporting various political members in that party. Back in the acting career or the acting community, he was slowly fading away due to his age and even health being involved when acting. He would work with Francis Ford Coppola again, but for the movie Apocalypse Now in 1979. But he wanted more money and even more creative control, which was denied and had affected him mentally and even physically. Yet still acting in more roles than less frequently due to his age and his health declining. As in the 1990s rather than the 1980s, he would still act, appearing in video games, movies, television, and even music videos. Last film he was appearing in was The Score in 2001, and then starring in the video game Godfather in 2006, which he was able to have an appearance and even use archived voice. Legacy of a Godfather. The legend Marlon Brando passed away on the 1st of July 2004 at the age of 80 in LA, California. His death was caused by heart failure and would have poor health throughout his late career, with himself being one of the great actors in the world where he was becoming one of the most hated actors due to his demands and his health declining based on his vision not being used in most of his movies. His legacy was strong, though, as most actors and actresses have been inspired by his performances. Robert De Niro was one of the actors that was inspired by his acting career, inspired by Marlon Brando being an excelling and even well-known method actor. He was a part of a generation of post-war actors that were able to inspire young actors to become better as well as being actors themselves, even showing the trouble of youth during that time period. He would be nominated for many awards and be remembered by many people around the world, with his star being on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and his family keeping his legacy alive. Actors and actresses still class him as their inspiration today, and even making method acting one of his acting styles used in films, video games, and even movies around the world. And even on television, method acting is also used in thanks of Marlon Brando. He was a benchmark which all method actors and actresses had to fulfill in their acting careers. Marlon Brando is the Don, a revolutionary, and even a hero. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't done so. I'm Suki Cookie, and please check out my other videos. Stay tuned for more content like this. Thank you.